Hi, I'm Anne from Game Like a Mother. I specialize in games that can be played in 20 minutes or less. And for my June top 10 list, it's my birthday month. I got a logo t-shirt, so I'm fancy, and I'm doing my top 10 favorite games that I'm playing right now. If you like, there is a list of the games in the description of the video, along with the timestamp for each one, so you can skip to whichever ones you're interested in. And let's get started. Okay, I'm going to start with the easier games geared for younger ages and then work up to more advanced, complex games. So first off, we have Dragomino, my first king domino. It's a domino game, but you're playing with, there's terrain on the different sides of the pieces instead of numbers. And you're trying to collect the most baby dragons, which is a spot-on theme for little kids, both boys and girls. This is a great introduction to the King Domino family of games. There's a few of them. They are all excellent, and this is no exception. There aren't a lot of games that you can play with a 5-year-old that I'm excited to play with them, and I'm the one asking them, ooh, can we play this one? And we've been playing this with my now 6-year-old son on repeat lately, and he just loves it. My older son, who's 9 and plays regular King Domino, still really likes playing this with us. And there's something wonderful about a game that your child can understand fully and play. We play up a lot, where my 6-year-old will play games that are geared for ages 8 and up, and he can do it with a little help, but it's nice having ones that he doesn't need any help, and he can set it all up on his own. He understands the strategy and the gameplay completely. He totals up the score at the end because you just count the little dragons at the end. And I could just hug whoever came up with, if you flip over a dragon egg and it's just an empty egg, you don't get a point for that dragon, which could be really disappointing for a child. Except for this, you get the mommy dragon then, which allows you to go first on your next turn, and if you end up with it at the end of the game, it's worth a point. And so that initial disappointment, there's a consolation right away. So no one gets sad or upset while playing this game. And it also plays really fast. With 2 players, we can play a game in about 10 minutes. Easy peasy. So it's really easy to fit in. And if you lose a game that plays in 10 minutes, it's not a big deal to say, oh, too bad, buddy. I got you that time. Let's set it up and try again. So fantastic, fantastic game. Everybody needs Dragomino. Next up, we have Zombie Kidz Evolution. It is a cooperative game where you have a bunch of kids that are heroes, and they are trying to battle zombies and keep them out of the school. These are cute zombies, not gross. We don't really like gross games around here. And these are super cute. My kids love it. Surprisingly, even my daughter, who can be pretty particular about the games she wants to play, they were all obsessed with this one. It was so much fun. It is a legacy game, which means it changes as you play. And so it has a pretty simple, basic gameplay, but then you play a couple rounds and get used to it. And then there are these envelopes you get to open that add like new powers to your heroes and to the zombies. And a lot more like surprises and things happen as you play. Oh my gosh, my kids lost their minds over this. So much excitement, so much fun. I was excited about the envelopes. I was really happy I had some kids to play this with, so that I would have an excuse to get to open up everything and figure out what all the mysteries were. So it was just fabulous to play. It takes a while to play through all of the different scenarios. It's like a 15 to 20 minute game, but then you play it over and over and over again. And then play Zombie Kidz Evolution first. There's a follow-up game called Zombie Teens Evolution, which is up for a lot of awards this year. It's brand new. We've played that one through all the way as well. And it's called Zombie Teens Evolution, but it's actually just ages 8 and up. The kids in it have aged to teenagers, is the premise. And that's where you are trying to cure the zombies, is the theme of the game. And it ups a little bit in strategy and gameplay, but still the same thing where you're opening envelopes and having different surprises. So we played these so much, and it's technically kind of over once you've gone through all of the missions. But they made it so you can play Zombie Kidz Evolution and Zombie Teens Evolution together. You can use characters for each one. And so on their own, my kids would take them out and just make up their own missions and play together, even when we had defeated both of them. So this was just amazing. They have legacy games for adults, but I don't know of any others for kids. And these were just fantastic. If you need a razzle dazzle game, this is it. I will say, it's best to play with the same group all the way through. So if you are wanting something to play with for your kids to play for play dates with friends, we did it more with Zombie Kidz Evolution, where we could grab friends and have them try out a round or two. But the strategy kind of ups a level or two, and there's more to catch on to for Zombie Kidz Evolution. So I guess it depends on the age of the kids that are playing, but you kind of have the same crew going all the way through. And I also really loved that this game did a fantastic job representing both males and females in its characters and different ethnicities as well. I love to see games actually paying attention to that stuff. It matters, and it made it just really fun to play. So love these games. Go get those games too. Next, we have 5 Minute Mystery, which is another cooperative game. This is like an escape route game you can play over and over again, but it's really speedy. It takes from 3 to 9 minutes to run through one of the scenarios, which I've played some of the other escape room games and sat there for an hour or two, so it's really nice to have one that you can replay over and over again, but it's super quick. This one has a lot of hype around it. A lot of 5 Minute Dungeon and 5 Minute Marvel are other really popular games like in this series. And so 5 Minute Mystery, my kids played Outfoxed a bunch when they were younger, and this kind of has the same feel as that, but with a time pressure and like a cool decoder. And it's a game that has done an amazing job of being spot on for kids if you're a little loosey-goosey on some of the time for the actual missions you're going through. If you're a little bit flexible on that, then it works great for kids. But it's also great for an adult game night. You can play this with adults and it doesn't feel like you're playing a kid game together. And I like, it's pretty crazy when you play. I can't believe there's a one-player version of this because it's intense. It might only be 3 to 9 minutes to figure out who the bad guy was, but you're doing a lot of stuff in that much time. If you have more players, you still are doing the same amount of work. You have somebody going and trying to find symbols on a page and then enter them into decoder, and then you have different clues where they match different attributes of the person who you're trying to catch. And so you're going through all of that. It's the same amount of work, regardless of how many players you have. So if you have like 4, 5, and 6, it's a little more mellow. You can play that with a group of adults and not just be destroyed at the end. But kudos to you. We've made it. You can make it with 1 or 2 players, but you better be on it. Very challenging, but it's just a blast, and it's one of my games that we've had a lot of my nieces and nephews visiting this summer, and I bring it out to razzle dazzle them, and it's a great game, kids and adults. Next up, I'm going to talk about Draftosaurus. In Draftosaurus, you are trying to create the best scoring zoo with little dinosaur pieces that you are strategically placing in order to maximize your points. And the manner in which you're doing this is by drafting them. Everyone has 6 little dinosaurs that are very colorful that they hold, select one, place it on their zoo, and then you pass it along. That's what drafting is. You're selecting from a limited pool. And It's very easy to get up and running on this. The basics of the game, it's ages 8 and up, but we taught my 6-year-old was there when we were learning how to play the first time, and he was correcting me on the rules because he just got it down. It's pretty intuitive and easy, which is great. There's a die that you roll that kind of makes it so you can place in certain areas and not others. So there's a little bit more going on than just, oh, place it wherever you feel like on the board. But you have to be pretty strategic with what you're doing and how you're placing the little pieces. But it's amazing because it's dinosaurs. Anything with dinosaurs, kids are going to want to play it. But it rides the line of being kid-friendly, but also I would 100% take this to an adult game night and not be like, oh, sorry, I know it has a kid theme, but it looks like it's for adults as well, which is fantastic. So very quick to get up and running. Everything's really durable, and you can play it over and over again, and I'm beginning to understand people who sleeve their cards because some of ours are getting so beat up, and you don't have to worry about with this. Nothing like that. Everything's going to last forever. And there's 2 sides of the board. So if you kind of get the summer side of the zoo down where, you can switch over and play on the winter side as well, which gives you it's the same kind of gameplay, but slightly different challenges. So this is just, it's interesting because it sounds like people that are really into board games, like intense board games, really like and appreciate this game, but it's also great for light family gamers as well. So people that aren't as familiar with some of the more strategic, intense games can hang and play this game as well. So very versatile, wonderful theme, great little game. Next up, we have Patchwork Doodle. Patchwork is a very popular 2-player game in which you're trying to make the most complete quilt using these Tetris-y-like pieces. And there's a bit going on for that. Super great game. We like Patchwork, we like Patchwork Express, and now they have Patchwork Doodle as well. For this one, you are doing what it says. You are drawing your Tetris-like patches onto a grid and trying to make the most complete quilt. And I had heard kind of mixed things about this one, and I wasn't sure about it. And we got it, and it exceeded all of my expectations. It is cute. It is fun. You have to enjoy the drawing aspect of this game to really enjoy this game. And I don't love art, but I played this with my 7-year-old daughter, and we had a blast playing. She's very particular about games these days, and she loved this one. You just kind of chat as you draw things in. It isn't anything too intense. And you draw whatever. I tried to draw things for her, so she made fun of what my little princesses looked like. Apparently my leprechaun cauldrons of gold looked like hamburgers. It was just really fun, and we chatted as we played. So this is a game that's about the experience and chatting and enjoying time together rather than like, let's go get the highest score. But I love that about this game because even if you don't win, you're like, well, my quilt looks pretty awesome. Look at how fun it looks, even if somebody beats you by a few points. And there is still quite a bit of strategy involved. How you best place, you're trying to make the biggest squares, the scoring for each one, and then you get an extra point per like rectangle line that goes off of your square. And there's a few powers that you can use that are very simple, but important to the gameplay. So this is one of those games that's a great family game, like after Thanksgiving dinner or something, where you get this out and you don't even have to use the pieces of paper that come with the set if you run out or don't want to. You just need a 9x9 grid and have some art supplies, and you can draw in things and chat. And it says it's up to 6 players, which is fun because we love Patchwork, but it's hard to show people a 2-player game. You're mostly just playing with, somebody at home. It's not like you're going to bring that to a family event. So this allows you to bring the joy of Patchwork to a family event. And it's one of those games that I'd say is great for both the sides of the age spectrum, where grandparents can enjoy this one as well, but also little kids can hang in there. And it's really fun. If you're going for something intense, strategic, go play regular Patchwork. But if you still really like that kind of game and want to play something that's a little more family oriented, Patchwork Doodle. I can't wait to bring this with me on trips to see relatives this summer. Watch out, guys. I'm going to make you play this with me. Next up, we have Colt Super Express, which is another kind of spin-off game. It's based off of Colt Express, which I played and I loved. This is like a streamlined version of that, where you're trying to be the last bandit standing on a train. And what's special about this is you are programming out your moves in advance. Everyone is programming simultaneously. And the base version of the game, you just have 4 cards and you're picking 3 of those 4 to place face down. And then you go around in a circle and each flips over the card and performs the action with their little bandit on the train. And people get shot off and people accidentally go off on the train car, the back train car. The caboose goes off at the end of each round. And so if you're on there, you're out and you lose. There's loot involved. And so this is like, it's not, I don't think it's technically a social game, but it feels like a social game. It's where the act of playing it is more fun and matters more than whether you win or lose. It's very chaotic. If you have very good strategy, yes, you are more likely to win, but sometimes things just happen and you had impeccable strategy, but people did some crazy stuff and they ended up shooting you off the train. This, again, I keep on having, this is my favorite one to show off to people because I know you're going to have fun playing it no matter what. So little cute nephews that come and visit, some game nights with friends. It's good for kids and it's good for adults. And this one is great. If you have like a weak link in your group, someone that has a little trouble with more technical game rules, there's enough luck in this game that if you just pick some cards randomly, sometimes you do pretty well doing that. This isn't a game for people who really like having control. There are certain people, I played this with my younger brother and he hated this game because of all the luck. That was distasteful to him. And the fact that he could have a perfectly plotted out moves and then somebody could do something crazy and just screw it up bothered him. So, I mean, know your group. If you're playing with somebody who likes logic, precision, this is not your game. But if you like a little chaos, this is pretty spot on, and it's hilarious. If you play with more players, like if you play with 6 or 7, it is the best because all sorts of things are going on. The first time we played this, the other dad from the other family just kept on getting shot. And then his guy would bounce to the car next to him and then he'd play a recover move and then he'd get shot again. So he never really got to do anything, which was funny because it wasn't happening to me. They do have a few cards that are, they have an expansion that comes with the base game. So you play with the 4 original cards, but then they have a few more cards that come with it that you can, once you have the base game down, you can introduce. So there's like a horse that can save you if you get shot off the back of the train. And there's a time machine, which is a DeLorean car that you put in the front of a train. And if you get shot into that or move into that, you go back to the back of the train and start your turn over again. So there's like a lot more going on. And it keeps it more engaging because if you just play the base game, I feel like it could get a little repetitive, but with adding in those few expansions, man, it is super fun. It is hilarious, and it is my go-to when you want a social game that's kind of not of like the apples to apples variety, and it's a little strategy. It's still a strategy game, but it's just so fun. So Colt Super Express. Next up, we have Ohanami, which is another very new game, and it is a drafting game. You are trying to make the highest scoring Japanese garden, and everyone's just passing cards around, and you pick one and place it down and then pass the cards around, and that's your turn. Everyone needs an easy little card game to bring along with them and to teach to other people. And this is so compact and it's so great. Some of the other, I feel like, go-to card game is Sushi Go. And there's nothing wrong with it, but it feels like a kid's game to me. I know adults like it too, but the graphics and the theme and everything, very cute, feels like a kid's game. This is beautiful and feels like a grown-up game. And it has a bit going on. You have different colors of cards that you score per round, and so you play out a round of cards, and then you have scoring, and you only score specific cards, but you have 3 different rows, and you're having to place cards either at the top or the bottom numerically, in numerical order, on this. So you have to be strategic about which ones you're taking, because you can't just take the one that would score the most points for you for that turn if it makes it so you can't put anything else on that pile for future turns. So it's like some gentle strategy, takes 2 seconds to learn how to play, but it has great replay value and is one, if you're traveling and you need an easy card game to bring along, this is a great one. Great theme, really, really fun card game. Next up, we have Silver and Gold, which is another compact little game like Ohanami. It's by the same game company. I love a lot of their games. They specialize in these and they do an excellent job. Silver and Gold has a whole treasure map vibe theme going to it, which I really enjoy. And I like that this is another game where it has like the Tetris-y-like pieces that you're having to fit onto for this different maps, and they're all different shapes and worth different amounts of points, and you get to select them, fill them in, put them aside to score in the future, and you try to score the most points to win the game. This is one of those games that feels very busy. There's all sorts of decisions you're having to make as the game's moving along, but it's pretty gentle and mellow. Everything's very manageable. So it kind of feels like you're busy and accomplishing things, but it's nothing too tough. You get bonuses for some palm trees and gold coins on the card, and you go through a stack of shapes that you're marking on your cards, and then you shuffle them up and do it. You just do that 3 times and score as many points as possible in that time, and then count it up. So this is my go-to like strategy game that is for everyone that I've been bringing to game nights lately, because it has a very universal appeal. The theme is fun. The gameplay is engaging, but not too tricky. So even if you're not used to playing a lot of board games or picking up new rules can be hard, if you have somebody there who knows how to play the game with you, it's pretty easy to walk you through it. And you can't screw up too much in this game, where if you have better strategy, you will win. But people that didn't do quite as good of a job, it's not like they're just way down there and they're like, oh, you beat me by, you got twice as many points as me. They probably are just 1 or 2 cards behind you. So it's not too punishing for people that struggle with this type of game as much. But it's so fun. It's one that I could play. I could happily have like a Silver and Gold night where we just played this every week for a few months straight, and I'd be perfectly happy. So this is an excellent replay value, great theme, for everyone game to have in your collection. Next up, we have The Crew, which is not for everyone, and I will tell you why. This game has won a ton of awards, just bunches and bunches. And what it is a trick-taking game. You are going on a mission to outer space, and you have a series of 50 missions you're supposed to go through. So the game says it plays in 20 minutes or less, but if you multiply, some of the missions only take 5 or 10 minutes, some take like the full 20. So if you multiply 50 times 20 minutes, you'll be playing this game for a while. This is a trick-taking game, and it's cooperative, which does not mean it's this happy kumbaya type game. It's tricky, and it's interesting because when I've read up on this game, a lot of people talk about playing it with their parents, because a lot of our parents grew up playing card games. I grew up playing card games. I love this game. So if your parents, especially if somebody's played a bit of bridge, you're going to be very good at this game. You can play this game even if you've never played bridge or if you haven't played a lot of cards. But those who have experience with trick-taking games or have experience with bridge in particular are going to do very well because they're used to this kind of gameplay. But it's so innovative and interesting. You're not supposed to communicate, but they have a special communication token that you can use in a very specific way. And it changes every time. You deal out all of the cards to everybody, but then different people get dealt out a specific card that they're supposed to collect, which is not a secret to the rest of the group, but it can be kind of tricky to make somebody take a card, especially when it's not just one, it's a bunch of cards and in a particular order. And with other kind of challenges built into the mission, it gets very challenging. So this is not a game to play if you have a weak link in your crew. It's not going to go well. But if you have a good crew, it is so fun. It is so engaging. I love a good card game. I grew up playing tons and tons of card games, and so this just kind of feels like coming home to me, but like exciting and different and challenging. And they have a new one coming out this summer, which is Mission Deep Sea. So you've gone to outer space, you can go to the deep sea, and it's the same type of thing. And if you have parents that played cards and you're like, oh, I wish I could get them to play a new board game with me, this might be a great choice. So check it out. Try it out. You're supposed to have the same crew that you're playing with all the way through, but it's absolutely fantastic. Deserves all those awards, and we haven't finished it yet. It takes a long time, but I'm excited to try. And finally, we have Unmatched, which again is not for everybody, but oh man, has it been for me and for my 9-year-old son, and my husband's obsessed. We made my older brother play it when he visited, and I think he was planning on just beating his 9-year-old nephew no problem, but he never did. It was very strategic, intense, fun. You have a array of heroes that you're trying to pit against each other and have your hero win. And this is based on Star Wars Epic Duels. It's a game that was out like 20 years ago or something, and they've revamped it with, I love this, just a wide range of heroes from Sinbad, Medusa, King Arthur, Alice in Wonderland, raptors, Muldoon from Jurassic Park, Beowulf and Little Red Riding Hood is number one on my birthday list because I read Beowulf a few times in college, and I think it's hilarious to have Little Red Riding Hood battling. Bruce Lee, there's a Buffy the Vampire Slayer category. They just have tons and tons of these coming out, and I love it because you can actually play in 20 minutes. If you play 2-player, it's 20 minutes. You can play in teams for 4-player, which is also really fun. And that takes closer to 40 minutes. But it's just so much packed into a short amount of time. And it's the basics are really easy to play. You have a board, and your heroes have special abilities, and they either are melee fighters where they have to be right up next to somebody to attack them, or they're ranged, so they can attack from a distance. So it matters what kind of terrain you're standing on, if you're allowed to attack them or not, if you're range. And but it's just a few different cards in your hand, and you have 2 actions per turn. So it's pretty manageable. Even your first few times, we consulted the rules a lot our first few times playing, but we were able to play successfully and kind of get used to it. And it wasn't too tricky, but there's a lot there. And talk about amazing replay value when you just are like, okay, well, you beat me as Sinbad against Medusa, but I wonder what it would be like if I had Muldoon against Sinbad this next time, since Muldoon has range and has traps. It's so incredible how they come up with all of these different abilities, and you're like, oh my gosh, how would anybody ever, they're so strong, like how would anybody ever be able to take them on? But then some of the characters have like sneaky attacks, and especially when you combine them in teams, you can do really fun, interesting things. So this is just, if you are a person that wishes you had the time to play some of the longer, more intense games, but you just don't anymore. This, like, I feel like gives you a lot of that, but it's just quick and easy. So we will often get a game in like before my son's supposed to go to bed, once I have the toddler away, because she likes to mess with this game, so we can't play it around her, which makes it tricky sometimes. So we're able to fit in a game before bedtime, and then, oh my gosh, my 9-year-old son is obsessed. I kind of feels like he also really loves Super Smash Brothers, so I kind of feel like this is a little, it's like if you really like Super Smash Brothers for a video game, this is kind of like that in card game form. But just it's so fun and strategic, and I'm kind of worried about how many different versions of this we're gonna end up with, because we already have 2, and there's like 4 more that we want. But they're all so great, and it's not too much to get them, and you're getting a lot of game for it. So just, there's something for everyone here. And it's been our obsession for the last couple months. Like, we play a game in the evening, and then we talk about all the specifics of it at breakfast, and it is the game for me and my son right now, which is just a blast. So that's it for my June top 10 favorite games right now. If you have a favorite game that should be my favorite game, please comment below and let me know. I'm always looking for new fabulous games to check out and try. And please subscribe to my channel. I have top 10 videos coming out every month, and a whole bunch of how to play videos, because it's a lot easier to watch than read a bunch of rules. You can get going, get playing quicker, faster. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time from Game Like a Mother.